All right, so now we are going to 11.5, which is the next section about volume. So this is all about volumes of pyramids and cones. So it has a similar formula to prisms and cylinders, but there is one difference. There is a fraction. Everybody loves a fraction. It is out front. It is 1/3. So it is 1/3 the area of the base, whatever that is, whatever shape it is, times the height. Okay? And so on pyramids and cones only, this is how it works. So just keep that in mind. So here we have a square pyramid. Okay, so don't forget the 1/3. So volume equals 1/3 area of the base times your height. Okay, what is the base of this? Well, it is a square, so that's base times height. So 5 times 5, and then that would give us 25. Cool. Now, what is the height of the pyramid? You may remember from the last unit, we had to worry about slant height, which would be on the outside. This one, we do not want slant height. We want the inside, the actual height that goes through the center of the shape. So if they give you slant height, you're going to have to use some Pythagorean theorem to figure it out, and they will give you some like that. But on this one, we're lucky enough that they give us the inside height. That 6 is in the center of the shape. So our height is 6. And then I can't forget the 1/3. All right, so now type that in your calculator, 1/3 times 25 times 6, and that would give you 50, I believe. And we still have the same label as we've been doing with this volume, and it is centimeters to the 3rd power. Centimeters cubed, you could say. All right, this is a weird looking shape. This is a pyramid, okay? So we've got, I know it's a weird one. It's a 1/3 base times height. Actually, let's do times height. Okay, so, but what kind of pyramid is this? What is the base of this pyramid? It is a triangle. So in that area of the base part, we're gonna have to do the formula for a triangle, which is 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 times 3 times 4 gives you 6. Cool. So now we've got 1/3 times 6. What is our height of our pyramid? It is 3, that vertical 3. Okay, so now stick all that on your calculator, and I believe you get 6 inches to the 3rd power. Cool. Pyramids are kind of fun, right? All right, so now we have a cone. They give us a cone. So it's the exact same formula, 1/3 base times height. What is the base of a cone? Well, it's a circle. So we've got to use pi r squared. So pi times what is our radius? It's 30 squared. All right, and so 30 squared gives us 900 pi. All right, now, what is our height of our cone? Do they give us the height or do they give us the slant height? The slant height would be right here. And remember, for volume, you do not want the slant height. You want the inside, the regular height. So they give it to us on this one. So it's going to be 50. And then we can't forget to have our 1/3. So now let's do this in terms of pi. So that's going to be 1/3 times 900 times 50. And you get 15,000 pi. Okay, so now let's type that in our calculator. So 15,000 pi, it's going to be a gigantic number, which makes sense because these are pretty big numbers themselves. So this would be 47,123.89 meters cubed. So depending upon how they want their answer, it's going, if it, in terms of pi, it's the top one. If they want it rounded, go with the second one. Okay, same thing, let's do it. If you want to pause the video and try this one on by yourself, that would be great. I'm going to work it out here. So I've got 1/3 base times height. Base is a circle, so pi r squared. Pi times 10 squared gives me 100 pi. Do they give us the height or the slant height? They were nice enough to give us the height again. So 13. And then I have 1/3 right there. All right, so now let's type all of that in your calculator. This one may get a little messy on whenever you type in your calculator, and that is fine. So you get 433.33333333, right? Pi. I do not want you to write it like that because you will have to round. So what do you do instead of rounding? You hit that fraction button and it gives you 1300 over 3. And then since we're writing it in terms of pi, you'll have to write the pi with it. Don't forget the pi. So remember, whenever you're writing in terms of pi, you never round, always hit that fraction button. Okay, so now let's do it with it actually being rounded. So we will have to round here. So I'm going to type the pi in my calculator and I get 1,361.36. So depending upon which inch I want. And then millimeters cubed is your label. Alrighty, so let's just do some more practice. Actually, I'm going to, we'll do this one. I won't do number 2. Okay, so we've got 1/3 base times height. The base is a rectangle or a square, so base times height, 6 times 6 gives you 36. Do they give you the height or do they give you the slant height? They give us the height. So 8. And then, so we've got 1/3 times 36 times 8. Type that in your calculator and it gives you 96 inches cubed. I'm in the area for our mindset. So 96 inches cubed is going to be your answer. I'm going to skip number 2 because we've already done one like that. But now let's do this one. This is different. Okay, so let's start 1/3 base times height. 1/3, the base is a circle. Actually, I'm not gonna write that 1/3 right there. So the base is a circle, so pi r squared. Pi times 6 squared gives me 36 pi. Now, what is our height of our triangle? So the height is right there. They don't give it to us. So we're gonna have to use your favorite, the Pythagorean theorem. No big deal. So we gotta use the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. What is our c? Our c is 10, because that's the hypotenuse. So I'm gonna have a squared plus 6 squared equals 10 squared. Let's solve it. A squared plus 36 equals 100. Then I need to subtract 36 from both sides. A squared equals 64. Then last step is you need to square root that. So a equals 8. So that means this distance, the height, is 8 right there. All right, so now we're ready to plug that into our other formula. So I have the height is 8, and then I don't want to forget that 1/3. So now I have 1/3 times 36 times 8, and so I have 96 pi, right? Or you could, if they wanted it rounded, it would be 301.59 feet cubed. All right, let's do 2 more. Okay, so what do you see on this? It's kind of a pain, but it's okay. So I see a cube that we're gonna have to find the volume of, plus a pyramid. Okay, a cube plus a pyramid. So the cube, let's just start with the easy one. I think cubes are easier. So volume is base times height for a cube. It's not a 1/3 because it's not a pyramid or a prism, or not a pyramid or a cone. It is a prism. So we're gonna have to do base times height, no 1/3. So the base is a square. So that's gonna be an 8 by 8. And so that's 64 times the height of your prism is 8. So now do 64 times 8 and you get 512. Cool. So now let's do the pyramid. So the pyramid does have the 1/3 in it. So the volume equals 1/3 area of the base times the height. So what is the base? Well, it's still a square. So base times height, 8 times 8, which is 64. Okay. Do they give you the height or do they give you the slant height? They give us the height, which is nice. So they've got, our height is 5, and then we can't forget the 1/3. So now I'm going to type all of that in my calculator. So 1/3 times 64 times 5, and it gives me a gross decimal. I do not want you to write it as a decimal because you will have to round. So instead, hit that fraction button and it gives you 320 over 3. Okay, so that's our pyramid. So now that I have my cube volume and my pyramid volume, what do I need to do? Well, I just need to add them together. So 512 plus 320 over 3. It's kind of it's another gross decimal, of course. Let's write it as a fraction because you know I love fractions and hate decimals. It's more accurate. So 1,856 over 3 centimeters cubed. Cool. All right, let's do one more. I'm gonna pick number 6 because they're both very similar, and so I'm just gonna do one of them. So we've got, what do you see? I see a cylinder plus a cone. Cylinder with a cone on top. Looks like a little grain bin. Put corn in. Okay, so cylinder, let's do that one. Cylinder has no 1/3 in the formula, so it's just 1/3 base times area of the base times the height. The base of a cylinder is a circle, so pi r squared. Pi times 3 squared, because 3 is your radius, gives you 9 pi. What is your height of the cylinder? It is 7. Okay, so now my cylinder is going to give me 63 pi. Okay, so now our cone, we've got volume equals, cone has the 1/3 in it, area of the base times the height. So then I've got, what is my base of a cone? Well, it's still a circle, pi r squared, pi times 3 squared, 9 pi. Cool. I'm gonna drop that 1/3 down, and what is my height of my cone? Well, it is 3, it looks like to me. Okay, so now stick that in your calculator and you end up with 9 pi. So what do I do with those two numbers? Since I've got the cylinder volume and the cone volume, I just need to add them together. And so 63 pi plus 9 pi gives you 72 pi if they want it in terms of pi, or if it was rounded, it would be 226.19. And then our label would be centimeters cubed. All right, that is it for volumes of cylinders and cones. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for watching.